And it's also your responsibility, and I can't emphasize this enough, and if you're the kind of person who needs somebody to die before you get health conscious, you don't need to wait for that. You can be health conscious as soon as you get onto this fitness journey, whether you take performance enhancing drugs or not. Vigorous Steve here. So the highlight of the previous video discussing what this YouTube channel is all about. And for the guys who are still with me after watching this video, if you're still subscribed, thank you so much for joining the Vigorous crew. I want to take this opportunity, this video, to kind of explain what your responsibility is if you decide to go on performance enhancing drugs and go on that journey. Because if you thought that natural or drug-free bodybuilding was complicated, or drug-free fitness in general was complicated, you're in for a world of pain. There's a lot of health management that comes along with the use of performance enhancing drugs, and not just health management, also financial management and sourcing management, because in most parts of the world, performance enhancing drugs, steroids, peptides, etc. are illegal, or at least gray area. You can only get them on prescription. But for most of us, the large majority of the people out there who take performance enhancing drugs are not doing so under the guidance of a healthcare provider, not under the guidance of the doctor. They don't have a script. And besides clinically recognized testosterone replacement therapy or full hormone replacement therapy, there's not so much that you can get a script for, right? Trenbolone acetate used to be available as a pharmaceutical, but it has long been since discontinued. So I want to take this opportunity to kind of educate you on what your responsibilities are, because, well, let's be honest, you and only you is deciding to take PEDs. They're not magically going to be injected into your butt cheeks. They're not going to magically end up into your intestinal tract. You have to ingest them and have to inject them willingly and consciously. Before we get into it, please like the video, leave a comment through the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. That way you can get new videos as soon as they drop. And you can support the channel by joining either YouTube or Patreon memberships, where you can vote for upcoming deep dives, or join the weekly Vigorous Q&A, which is always on Saturday, private for 1 hour. Afterwards, it goes public, and then in most cases, it turns into a super flood of super chats. Let's get started with your responsibility before you even get started with performance enhancing drugs. You need to take a baseline blood test to see where your current state of health is. Now, I've gone through several of these videos on my YouTube channel already, and I think we're all due for an updated video on what is required before you start your first cycle, what you need to pay attention to before you can even get started, and what performance enhancing drugs are even suitable as a first timer, right? I'll make a separate video about that. But first things first, your health needs to be in order. And it's also your responsibility, and I can't emphasize this enough, and if you're the kind of person who needs somebody to die before you get health conscious, you don't need to wait for that. You can be health conscious as soon as you get onto this fitness journey, whether you take performance enhancing drugs or not. But certainly when you take performance enhancing drugs, I've been health conscious ever since the age of 15, when I saw my family members get unhealthy. And that's why I decided to go on this fitness journey, right? I wanted to take care of my health, and I was very health conscious by the time I started dabbling with PEDs. So don't wait until somebody dies. One person dies, and now you want to check your cancer markers. Another person dies, and now you want to check your heart. Another person dies, and now you want to check your kidney function. No, dude, you should check all of that before anybody dies, because at one point it might be you who dies, and then other people are going to be the asshole that you are, right? Oh, and this guy died, and now we need to make sure that we're on top of our health. No. It doesn't work that way. It's your responsibility to stay healthy and your responsibility to stay alive, whether other people die or not. I hope that's clear to you. If you're unhealthy and you think you need TRT to resolve those unhealthy conditions that you currently have, why don't you try to resolve that without performance enhancing drugs first? I promise you, 100% guaranteed, or money back, 100% guaranteed that most of your issues will resolve themselves, and you will not have any additional issues when you go on TRT or hormone replacement therapy. Most of the issues that you currently have are going to be exacerbated when you throw testosterone, Arimidex, HCG, whatever else into the picture, because you're not addressing them before you're getting started. Now, I'm sure many of you guys are going to contest this in the comment section. Again, there are always exceptions. Testosterone saved my life. Testosterone made me a successful entrepreneur. Testosterone restored my libido, etc., etc., etc. But long story short, it's still very important for you to have a fundamental understanding of your current state of health before you start dabbling. Otherwise, it's very likely that you're going to get these terrible side effects that most people talk about. Hair loss, acne, gynecomastia, water retention, high blood pressure, insomnia. I mean, I can go on and on and on. All of these common side effects are very occurring in people who are unhealthy before they go on performance-enhancing drugs. And if you were like me, you've been bodybuilding naturally for, let's say, 10 to 11 years. You know how to diet, you know how to train, you know how to take care of your supplementation protocol. That's the natural supplements that you can buy over the counter anywhere. Right? Just the vitamins and the minerals, maybe some of the herbal extracts that help with overall health parameters. And you know how to mitigate some of the issues ahead of time, like high blood pressure, which you might experience during the off-season when you're large and in charge eating a ton of foods. If you already have a fundamental grasp of how your body is going to respond without PEDs in the picture, then you also know how to make the adjustments when you go on PEDs and certain issues and side effects start to arise, right? You need experience with your body in various different contexts so you know how to resolve these issues. Get healthy, get financially secure, get educated on the subject matter, and track your data regarding your health parameters for a multitude of years, right? So you have to train for a multitude of years, you have to diet for a multitude of years, and you need to track your health for a multitude of years. And then and only then can you start dabbling with performance-enhancing drugs. And if you can't do that, please do it under the guidance of a medical professional, right? Go to an HRT clinic, go to anywhere where you can get a prescription and have your blood work parameters interpreted by a doctor, because you can't do it by yourself. And if you live in the United States, you're in luck because I have excellent patient care coordinators and doctors over at Merrick Health, which is the health optimization clinic of Derek from the More Plates, More Dates YouTube channel. I'm an affiliate there. I've been an affiliate for a very long time with Merrick Health because I highly believe in their practices. They're not going to put you on a cookie cutter HRT protocol right from the start. They're going to help you get healthy first. And then, and only then, if your blood work actually shows that you need testosterone replacement therapy or other medical interventions medically, then they might prescribe you something to help you along your way. But your doctors are very good at what they're doing. They will help you with your diet, with your health supplementation, and perhaps with your testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy if required after you get into a good state of health. And that's why I'm always with Merrick Health and nobody else, which are just glorified steroid dealers from what I can tell. It took me years to even understand fundamental blood work. And now that I have so much understanding of blood work that I can actually help other people and give back to the community. And now we're talking like 10, 15, 20 years ahead. So I understand that you might be a little bit impatient and you don't want to do this research. And luckily for you, you have this YouTube channel, which I didn't have when I got started. I had to go to the library and go to PubMed and ask for anecdotal experience of people who are already using performance-enhancing drugs for decades in order for me to piece it together. So the piecing it together is already documented on this YouTube channel, but that's piecing it together for a wide audience in various different settings and conditions. It might not apply to you 100%. So you still need to do your own research and make sure that the knowledge that I provide here and that you can find in a multitude of other YouTube channels, albeit that there's not so many good YouTube channels when it comes to this subject matter of taking performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, you can basically count that on one hand. So again, you only have to watch 5 YouTube channels to kind of piece it together for yourself. You still have to piece it together because my experience might not match yours. And from the other YouTube channels or the other sources of information might not match your experience as well. So it's the best that you can do for your own physique is to get a second and third and fourth and fifth opinion, and then try to piece it together for yourself. When you get your hands dirty, of course, this is where the truth really comes out, because you can be super prepared and maybe even over prepared to the point you have 20 different ancillaries in your steroid drawer ready just in case something goes wrong. And ideally, you let those ancillaries expire, reach the expiration date, and you throw them in the trash because you never got an infection, or you never got gynecomastia symptoms, or you never got severe prolactin increases requiring you to take something like cabergoline or another dopamine receptor agonist. And if all of those words are kind of foreign to you, well, that kind of proves that you still have to do a lot more research before you get started. So this is your responsibility to kind of piece it together for your own. That's nobody else's responsibility. You can't fault anybody on YouTube for the lack of information that you currently possess because it's all out there. All you have to do is go look for it. All you have to go do is look and watch videos. It's so simple, right? And whatever you can't find in the YouTube videos, whatever you can find on other sources, look for more sources to get experience and information from, right? Your responsibility to get educated, just like it's your responsibility to get financially secure, because drug-free bodybuilding is quite cheap in comparison to enhanced bodybuilding or comparing a drug-free state to an enhanced state. You need to do blood work. That costs money. You need to source pharmaceutical grade gear. That costs money. Or homebrew yourself. There's no in between. All the underground labs, as far as I know, wishy-washy. And they might be good today, but it might be horrible tomorrow. I have many videos on this YouTube channel discussing why it's important to stick with pharmaceutical grade gear over using underground labs. And now we're going to go there again. Steve, what about Trimble acetate? I can't use Trimble acetate from a pharmaceutical company because it's no longer available as a pharmaceutical. And let's be honest, Trimble acetate was produced in arachids oil, which is highly inflammatory for a lot of people. And if that's also a foreign information to you, you should just do a research on this YouTube channel about synthetic carrier oils and how terrible it is for inflammation and your overall cardiovascular health. And in this day and age, you really need to pay extra special attention to your cardiovascular health. So to get back to the Trimble acetate, you don't have to take it. Yeah, you don't have to take it at all. So many physiques that I know that are absolutely stellar, probably better than yours, probably that you think that they're on the Tremboloni sandwich. They're not on trend. I haven't touched it in 8 years, and I was still able to build a very impressive physique. Much more impressive than the time I was on Trembolone acetate or Trembolone anethate, which I also ran in the past. You don't need it. Most of the compounds that are out there, you don't need it. What you need is discipline and the research and the dedication to put these compounds to work. But if you're not going to put them to work, then of course, yes, you can go on Tren, and yes, Tren will give you a physique because Tren is very potent and is very forgiving. You can literally do everything wrong and still get results with Tren. And even though that sounds highly appealing to some of you guys, it's a horrible idea. Why? Because Tren is so potent that it will also ruin your blood work parameters, ruin your kidney function, increase your blood pressure, improve your mood to the point you now don't have any friends and any relationships with anybody anymore. Again, that's a hard decision that you're going to have to make. So I would reserve the Trembolone sandwich in case you want to compete. And that's years down the line, if any. So stick with something that is available as a pharmaceutical compound, testosterone, Primo, Anavar, maybe Anadrol. Again, do your research. Maybe Winstrol. Again, do your research. And if you can't do it with these 5 compounds, well, you're kind of and you're not really knowing what you're doing regarding the training and the nutrition. I think anybody can build an impressive physique with these 5 compounds. And let's be honest, you can build it with 3, Test, Primo, and Anavar, right? And then maybe look into the peptides like growth hormone or some of the other peptides out there, which also need a laundry list of prerequisites and potential side effects, right? You'll have to research all of them individually and then how they might interact together, if there's any drug interactions between testosterone and growth hormone, or testosterone, arimidex, aromasin, and growth hormone, right, or insulin. All these drug interactions you need to investigate, because if you go on the internet and you read the scientific literature, yes, these drugs have a lot of scientific papers behind them, solo, by themselves, or maybe in particular medical conditions that you don't suffer from. So you need to research how these particular compounds act and potentiate their effects in combination, right? Years and years of research goes into it. Now, going back to the subject of becoming financially secure, so you can afford the pharmaceuticals, which are third-party tested, high potency, accurately dosed, containing healthy carrier oils. Again, besides the arachids oil, which is still occasionally used, or ethyl oleates. I have articles and videos discussing this, so please research and review those videos on this YouTube channel. In most cases, you're safe with pharmaceuticals, and in most cases, you're not safe with underground labs. There's a lot of underground labs out there. Some of them are cheap, some of them are more expensive, but there's still no third-party testing. You're solely dependent on the reviews on the message boards. And guess what? Those can all be manipulated. But with pharmaceuticals, those are not manipulated, albeit that there are still counterfeit pharmaceuticals out there. So trust your source. And if you don't trust your source yet, research. Long story short, pharmaceuticals are going to be more expensive than underground labs, but you always get what you pay for. And for that, you need to become financially secure. And however you do that, that's entirely up to you, right? You have the responsibility to make sure that you're in a good financial position so you can afford the blood work and the pharmaceuticals so you can stay healthy, right? Monitor your blood work to be preventative and buy the pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical grade companies that are on the stock exchange. So you have the highest quality performance-enhancing drugs that you can get your hands on, right? It costs money. And however you want to make your money, that's entirely up to you, your responsibility. I'll make a separate video about my stance on becoming financially secure. So maybe you can get a little bit inspired to go on a grind and have enough money so you can buy pharmaceuticals again. And otherwise, if you don't want to do that, I would rather look into homebrewing. I don't know so much about homebrewing because I always have access to pharmaceuticals and I'm willing to spend the money on high quality pharmaceuticals. But if you don't want to do that, I would rather look into homebrewing than buying products from underground labs, because now you can control all of the variables, which carrier oil you're using, what the concentration is, where you source the raws, and if you want to get those tested in a third party, how much benzyl benzoate you use, how much benzyl alcohol, if you brew 5 milliliters at a time, or 10 milliliters, or 25 milliliters, or 100 milliliters, right? The more you brew at the same time, the more complications you might run into with sterility. What filters you use, right? A lot of things that go into home brewing, but I would always refer to Chase Irons because he's the homebrew king, and I'm just the guy that sticks with pharmaceuticals. I would rather look into that than purchase underground labs from somebody you've never met, honestly. So this financially security is entirely up to you. If you don't have finances to afford the blood work and the high quality performance enhancing drugs, don't do it. It's that simple. If you're undergoing the recession and you don't have money for the basics of the basics, just don't do it. Stay drug free or come off cycle, do a post-cycle therapy, the performance enhancing drugs, the selective estrogen receptor modulators that you need for a successful outcome of post-cycle therapy. And again, I have videos documenting how to do PCT correctly also on this YouTube channel. Come off cycle, bridge this period, stay drug free so you don't have to worry so much about blood work and don't have to worry about so much about high quality performance enhancing drugs. You're just maintaining for a while until your financial situation resolves itself. There's no shame in that. That's totally cool. I had to undergo this a couple times in my life as well because I simply didn't have the money. I didn't have the money for PEDs and I didn't have the money for blood work. So you just come off and you cruise along that way. You can always go back on cycle. You can always do blood work later on, right? But you can't go on cycle and stay on cycle without doing blood work. That's just downright stupid, and I have zero respect for that level of stupidity. It's your responsibility and your responsibility alone. You can't rely on anybody else to do the research for you or to spend the money for you, right? Don't become so complacent to the point you get unhealthy. You have to manage it just like anything else. You have to manage your health just like you manage your fitness aspirations, and you do it at the same time, because otherwise your fitness aspirations will get the best of you, which we see over and over and over and over again in the fitness industry, people dying left and right. Do you want to join those people? I think not. And if you do want to join those people, again, this channel is probably not for you. There's plenty of other YouTube channels out there who simply promote drug use at very high dosages, very irresponsible practices. And if you follow those guys, you're going to end up in an early grave. So this channel, again, is for health management in the context of performance enhancing drugs. And you're the one who's responsible for that health management part. And also the parts where you get educated and financially secure enough so you can do it all and afford it all without sacrificing your health and your life in the long run. Okay, that's enough preaching for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find everything that I'm associated with down below in the YouTube description section. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Vigorous Steve. Vigorous crew, you guys know what to do. A front double bicep for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.